I'm Elaine Reyes, and this is America's Now. Tonight, waiting for Chavez.
I'm Stephen Gibbs for America's Now here in Caracas, where President Chávez's fourth electoral term is just beginning, even though the president isn't here.
Will the hospitalized Chavez return to power? Can he legally appoint his own successor? Or will the president of the National Assembly preside? From the Venezuelan capital, we'll answer these questions and more. And then deported. Frank Contreras takes us inside a Mexican hotel filled with disillusioned migrants dreaming about life just over the border in the United States.
Something good awaits me over there. I know it.
And finally, we head to a school in Florida, where Nitza Soledad Perez introduces us to some immigrants whose educational dreams have come true and is helping them preserve their language and their culture.
I have gotten my Spanish again. The first or second year I came, I went to another school, I lost all my Spanish, and I came here, I have my accent, and I have it all.
President Chávez's fourth presidential term has begun, despite the fact that the Venezuelan leader hasn't been seen or heard from since a cancer operation in Cuba in mid-December. The Venezuelan government says Hugo Chávez is expected to return to his duties, but the opposition says clarification is needed over the state of his health. Stephen Gibbs has been in Caracas this past week, watching it all unfold. He files this report.
It's Inauguration Day in Caracas. Supporters of President Chávez are in a party mood. This is a demonstration of adoration for their leader and a reminder of who is in power. It's also more than a little surreal. Hugo Chávez might be here in spirit, he's not here in person.
People is celebrating the new President Chávez that he was re-elected for the first time. Now everybody is in the street.
Does it matter that the president is not here?
No, in absolutely. This is the president now. Is everybody is helping the president that is coming soon to Venezuela.
Para nosotros sí está, él está presente. A pesar de que no esté físicamente, él está presente. Chávez no es un hombre, Chávez es un pueblo y está presente entre todos nosotros.
To make that point, presidential sashes were handed out beforehand. The only man who seems to be being careful not to call himself president is the vice president, Nicolás Maduro.
Y que nadie se equivoque. Aquí nosotros en Venezuela elegimos y tenemos un solo presidente y ese se llama Hugo Chávez.
Throughout the day, he showed his affection towards the head of the National Assembly. The two men were rumored to be political rivals.
The point the Venezuelan government is trying to make is that it doesn't necessarily matter that President Chávez was unable to attend his own inauguration. They say that the process he began here 14 years ago will continue.
This was the last time Hugo Chávez was seen in public. Before returning to Havana for a fourth cancer operation, he appeared on national television in order, it seemed, to anoint a successor.
Si algo ocurriera, repito, que me inhabilitara de alguna manera, mi opinión firme, plena como la luna llena, irrevocable, absoluta, total, es que en ese escenario que obligaría a convocar, como manda la Constitución de nuevo, a elecciones presidenciales, ustedes elijan a Nicolás Maduro como presidente de la República Bolivariana de Venezuela.
But that hasn't happened. Instead, Venezuela's Supreme Court, which is closely allied to the government, has decided that President Chávez can just continue in office. That decision is incomprehensible to Cecilia Sosa, a former president of Venezuela's Supreme Court.
La sentencia no tiene racionalidad. Si yo digo que el presidente está en un periodo estacionario, gravemente enfermo, evidentemente recuperándose, pero lo coloco como presidente en ejercicio, no estando en Venezuela, y no tengo ningún encargado, ni el vicepresidente ejecutivo, ni el presidente de la Asamblea Nacional, que además dicen que no quieren encargarse de la presidencia. Venezuela, a partir de hoy, no tiene presidente.
Government supporters say this country most certainly does have a president, and plenty of them believe he will be back.
Stephen Gibbs joins us now from Caracas to discuss this memorable week in Venezuelan politics. Stephen, welcome. What is the current state of Hugo Chávez's health?
Well, what we know is that President Chávez is in hospital in Havana. We have very little specific details. He left here a month ago. We understand he had a 4th operation for cancer. That operation had its complications. He's since had respiratory problems. Then the government said that basically he's in a stable condition. They also occasionally use the word delicate. The most recent update we got was from the president's brother, Adnan, who has just come back from Havana, and he said that rumors that have been spreading on the internet that the president is in a coma or on a life support machine and his family were considering what to do, he says those are completely false. The unusual thing for all people here in Venezuela is we haven't heard from the president himself. He's tended to phone radio stations or television stations here, or tweet even from his hospital bed in Havana, but we haven't heard a single word for a month.
The Supreme Court has ruled that President Chávez can rule in absentia indefinitely. What does that mean for the government's future?
Well, it seems to be a solution for the government that they don't have to make a decision as to who takes over while the president, as we assume, recuperates. The opposition views this as a fudge, really, on the part of all the institutions here in Venezuela, including the Supreme Court that made that ultimate decision. They say that effectively it prevents any infighting within the government.
Where is former presidential candidate Enrique Capriles in all of this? Did he play a role in this past week's events at all?
Well, the opposition has been put in quite a difficult situation in many ways here. They don't want to be seen to be taking advantage of the unfortunate illness of the president, but they feel very strongly that perhaps what is happening here is that there's a transfer of power going on from President Chávez to Nicolás Maduro, and they're being effectively kept out of the deal. Enrique Capriles gave a press conference. He feels that this is merely protecting the president's heirs rather than giving the truth and a solution to the Venezuelan people.
Do you get the sense that a political shakeup could take place?
I think it can probably continue with the status quo for the next few weeks or perhaps the next few months. But I think the key problem is that people are going to want answers as to what the condition is of Hugo Chávez.
Stephen Gibbs in Caracas, thank you for your time and your analysis. Coming up, a hotel where the guests dream about life a few yards away.